Hello, welcome back. I hope you're all having a beautiful day. I am finally getting this video together. If you've been following my stories, I've had so many technical difficulties with this video, so I'm reshooting it and hopefully everything is going to go smoothly this time. I thought it's been a while since I reminisced on the past. I feel like every once in a while I'll do a Dance Moms video or something relating to the past, and I thought it was time. I filmed a reacting to interviews video quite a while ago, and I think everyone assumed it was Dance Moms videos, but it was actually, or Dance Moms interviews, but it was actually red carpet interviews. And so based on the response, I thought it would be a really good idea to film a reaction to Dance Moms interviews specifically. So I found a compilation on YouTube from season 2 interviews, and I have never successfully rewatched the show, and as you all know, I have a very bad memory regarding the show. I don't remember a ton, so this will all be very new to me. Anyway, let's just get into it. Okay, season 2 compilation, here we go. And also I will note that it might seem like, I don't think it'll be odd, but I did, like I said, I filmed this a couple of days ago and I reacted to this video, so I'm just gonna be trying to recap it again. So yeah.
In my age category, I got first overall, and I was really excited and happy.
First overall. Very interesting, because growing up, my mom ingrained it into my sister's head and my head that she didn't want us to have accents, specifically because Pittsburgh has such an interesting accent. Instead of saying you all or y'all, Pittsburgh people from Pittsburgh say yins, and they say Keller instead of color, or milk instead of milk, or pillow instead of pillow. All very interesting. So growing up, we were very conscious not to have an accent, and I know I have a bit of an accent now, because when I edit my videos and watch them back, I always really dislike how I like say things or how I mumble or the accent I have, so I always try to keep it as neutral as possible. But I find that in the season 2 interviews, I do have a little bit of an accent, which is odd because it's not even a Pittsburgh accent. It sounds like a southern accent, or I don't even really know what it is, but it's definitely not how I speak now, which is really interesting.
Having more confidence in myself, because
this costume, so obviously costumes are always a big deal on this show, but I'm pretty sure this costume was from another like dance off of the show, because it's so like well done and it's rhinestoned and everything. But I really love this costume. I love purple, like light purple like that. So I don't remember what solo I'm doing here, but I just remember this costume being from something else. I think I could be totally wrong about that.
backstage, I'm not as nervous anymore. My nerves are more settled, and I just go over the dance and kind of have fun.
Well, little Chloe's about to find out that that's not the case for very long. I was settled for maybe like a couple of weeks, and then I started to experience really bad anxiety, because when a lot of people don't want you to do well, it makes you really nervous and it makes you doubt yourself. So I would start to like experience so much anxiety and like intense worry before I went out on stage. Like I had a pit in my stomach constantly. I was constantly cracking my hands, which luckily, thankfully, I stopped that bad habit a couple of months ago, and I haven't like cracked my hands since then. It feels really good. But I used to like pick at my hands and just play with my hands, and I would just like go over the dance, and I'd get in such a state of panic that I'd convince myself I didn't remember the dance, and then I would just be like stressed out about everything, and I wouldn't be able to like breathe. And I think later on I sort of freak out and I'm like, I can't do this. Like that was sort of how it became every time. I was like, I can't go on, like I'm not ready, because I just got into such like a heightened state of anxiety.
I'm a little upset because I didn't understand what...
I feel like I'm noticing in these beginning interviews, I picked up this habit of doing little like buttons at the end of everything, which I've continued doing throughout my whole like YouTube career. I feel every time I film a video, I'll use my hands a lot, and I always do something at the end to like put a little button on it. And I noticed that I definitely do that in every single interview I have. Like I'm always like, like always just ending with something.
Me for choreography.
You're not a choreographer. Don't start being one.
And she yelled at me because I was doing another thing. She was like, "You're choreographing," and I really wasn't trying to choreograph. I just didn't know what she meant.
So that is true. One of the really good things about my previous dance teacher is that even though people always ask, you know, how did you learn if she didn't get up and interact with you? And that's because she taught us terms, and she taught us, I can't think of the word right now, but she just, we were very educated about dance, and so we knew exactly what to do when she said this, and we knew all of the names, which is something I didn't realize not everyone does. That's how she taught us, by just talking to us, and we would know. But sometimes she would say things that I just simply didn't understand because it's hard. You can only learn so much just by like hearing it. Like sometimes she would say stuff and I would get confused. And so at that point I know I definitely wasn't trying to choreograph. I was probably like 10 here. I was not trying to be a choreographer or take over anyone's job. I was just trying to understand what she was saying, and I couldn't. And that's okay.
Maddie's ready for the challenge of going up against me because she's a very strong dancer, so I hope I do great on my solo.
It's one thing getting on top, but it's a whole other thing staying on top.
Miss Abby keeps saying everyone's replaceable, and I'm a little nervous.
I like that. I like how I did this. It's because it's not true. No one's replaceable. We're all worthy and valuable.
I thought I did pretty good, and I kind of wish Miss Abby would pay attention more to me and my solo as much as she does to Maddie and her solo. Miss Abby?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that was like the basis of every argument that the moms had on the show. Like that's simply all anyone wanted, and it was always embellished and turned into something it wasn't. And I think we all just wanted attention from our dance teacher.
Excited for my solo this week, and it's lyrical, contemporary, and I think it's going to be a good solo for me.
I think the one thing that really separated our interviews from the moms' interviews, I mean our being the kids, is that oftentimes we were always busy dancing or learning the dances that are, and plus we didn't really, like you didn't really see us talking or interacting all that much, so it was more so our interviews were more like straight to the point, informative, like come in, tell me about your solo, tell me what genre, like what type of solo it is, tell me the name, tell me the message and how you feel about it. And so you would sort of just say that, and then you do the same with like the group, where if you were in a duo or a trio you would say that. And then if it was like you lost last week, how do you feel? Like obviously I didn't feel great because no one likes losing.
But that's okay because I know he tried his hardest to get here.
This hairstyle. I can't deal. I used to do this like every single day in elementary school. I remember exactly how to do it. I felt so good when I had this hairstyle. I felt like so like cool and just like edgy. But yes, so obviously some of the other dads were able to like get involved on the show, but my dad sort of like he just sort of kept everything separate, just because with his work he didn't want to risk anything, because obviously this was a very controversial show, and he obviously supported me with his whole heart, still does, but it's more from like the sidelines, which is funny because him and my mom have sort of switched roles with Clara. Like obviously my mom is very involved, but my dad is the one who goes to the swim meets and is like, he like volunteers to be a timer, and he's always like getting involved and talking to like like the coaches, and just like always bringing her everywhere she needs to go. So it's very funny how the tables have turned.
This week my solo is a contemporary piece, and it's called The Raven, and Miss Abby.
I love The Raven. It was my favorite. I think all of my edgier pieces like The Raven, Black Swan, The Red Queen or Queen of Hearts, whatever it was called, Unchained, all of those edgy solos that required like acting and like involving more than just like dance moves, but really telling a story. I think it for sure is the thing that started my love of acting. Like I think it sort of set me on the path for wanting to try out acting in the future, because I realized how fun it was to go beyond just dancing and really tell a story and really get into different roles that were completely opposite of me. So yeah, I think it's really cool looking back at this now, because especially The Raven, I remember doing The Raven being like, oh my god, like it's so fun to act. Like I think I want to get more into acting, when everyone else was doing like singing and stuff, and I was like, no, acting might be the next thing I want to try.
Dance.
Your beat outfit on.
Last time I had a professional job, we were all in a music video having fun. And this time, I'm in a stinky, dried up, disgusting beef jerky meat soup.
Where do I even begin? This was horrible. It was bad. It was not my favorite situation in any sort of way.
I get kind of nervous when Miss Abby yells a lot. I just hope I do really good.
I think anyone would be pretty nervous when someone is yelling at them a lot.
My part of the Raven dance is when I'm fighting, because the music gets really intense and I get to be really like...
See? Another like button.
Because Maddie and I are always...
That costume is so pretty.
Dark piece. I think
Love this hair and makeup. My hair used to be so blonde. I didn't even realize that, but it's not even like a bright blonde. It's like a honey blonde. I really like that. Anyway, now it's all dark because I haven't gotten highlights in a while.
performing for a huge audience actually doesn't really get me that nervous, but performing for like 3 of like amazing ballerinas, it's a little nerve-wracking. So excited
I would still get so nervous if I had to do that.
for my solo this week. I'm finally the Red Queen from Alice in Wonderland.
Love this!
I've been waiting for this forever.
I was just the self-proclaimed nerd of that group. Like I loved anything fantasy, magical. So the fact that I got to be the Red Queen was just like so fun to me, because I don't know if it would have meant as much to any of the other girls, but like I just loved everything like that. It was my littlest like fantasy books and movies, and all of that was my escape, especially in this Dance Moms time, because I just needed something that felt like safe and happy away from all of this. So I think that fantasy really did that for me. So I think being the Red Queen was just like, wow, it's all coming together. It's so nice.
And the music and the personality and
Unchained. I love this solo so much.
it's more like darker and mysterious. It's a contemporary lyrical piece.
Okay, there is a lot left, so I think I'm going to end it here. If you would like to see another like part 2 or like a different season or whatever it may be, let me know in the comments. I hope you enjoyed. It was fun to look back and rewatch all of that and relive it, sort of. Actually, that was the first time I've seen anything from Dance Moms and not been like entirely like anxious and feeling bad. It was just sort of like good vibes. So I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will see you all next week. Bye!